Hello and welcome to the top of the mountain. This is amazing. It's like a 10-minute drive away from my house, first time coming here, and they have these kind of long blooming cherry blossoms up here, which is really, really cool. And never a better place to answer a sort of philosophical question like, should I come to Japan? I don't get it all the time, but it is an interesting question and one worth answering, I think, especially on top of a mountainside if you have that opportunity. Now, the answer that I'll give at the end of this kind of outweighs what I'll say initially, which is I'll never get tired of this question. If somebody wants to write me and ask, should I teach English in Japan? Given their situation, I'll weigh up all the options, and I'll do that very human thing where we discuss the various pros and cons of why they might come and whether it's a net gain or net loss if they do so. But I want to get a little bit philosophical here and talk about the idea that basically, I don't want to say suffer from this, but suffer is one way that you could put it, I suppose, is that really when we ask someone an opinion of should we do something, it's not so much the answer that we gain from it so much as an offloading of the responsibility of that decision from ourselves to some other force. I can't tell you how many times in my own life, when I've come to a really difficult decision or crossroads in my life, how I just wish something or someone could tell me what is the right or the wrong thing to do, because that's really what I want to do. I desperately want to do the right thing. I want to make the right choice. I don't care if it's difficult. I don't care if it's easy. Just, oh, please, won't the force of the universe show me what is the right decision to make? And this is what I say is bringing us to this desire to confer with others, is usually more this offloading of responsibility. And provided you're not a complete goon and you give them a terrible opinion, they'll probably be satisfied just for the fact that you've taken away some of that responsibility. The greater story I want to relate this to, beyond the idea of simply transferring responsibility, and why that's, if we accept that reality, we accept what we're really doing when we make a decision to go in this direction or that direction, is to realize that it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I think when we get a better understanding of life, we understand more and more that there is hardly ever a black and white, and hardly ever a situation where fortune can be taken literally as that. Only good fortune. For example, a child star, gets incredibly wealthy, but then that fame ruins their life. Or, for example, someone loses all their money, but that keeps them in some area so they didn't have to travel. And so that meant that in that location they were going to, there was a horrible natural disaster. And so, oh, I can't believe it, my life was saved by this misfortune. And so I'd want to relate this by way of a cool little, I think it's a Chinese story. It is a Chinese story. And I'm going to put the link to it later, which could tell it more succinctly than I will now, probably with a better speaking voice and all that. But it goes like this. You got this Chinese farmer, and he's got a son. And he has some horses. And one day, his horse runs away, and so all the neighbors in the village say to him, "Oh, that's horrible." And he says to the rest of the villagers, "Maybe." And then a couple of days go by, and this horse that disappeared, his horse, returns, but with a bunch of wild horses. And so it's a great fortune. All of his neighbors come by again and they say to him, "Oh, well, this is wonderful fortune." And he replies, "Maybe." And then the next day, his son, excited about the fact that they have all these new horses, goes out and rides them. But during the course of his ride, he falls off and breaks his ankle. And the son is responsible for doing a great deal of work around the house, around the farm. So all the neighbors come by again and they say to the owner of the farm, they say to the farmer, "Oh, that's a great misfortune. We're so sorry for you." And the farmer says, "Maybe." And then the following day, the army comes by in a mission of conscription. And because the son's leg is broken, it disqualifies him from conscription. He doesn't have to go into the military. And so all of the people come by again and they say, "Well, isn't this a great fortune for you? Your son is saved." And the farmer replies, Maybe. So you can see the essence of it, and what I've already said is that you cannot know when you seek to make one of these crossroad decisions that if it's seemingly a good fortune, that it truly is that. Our lives and the decisions that make up our lives are far more complicated than that, and it's better to simply accept these turns in the road and accept you actually, as much as you make decisions, have far more control than you think you do, but only, this is kind of the common wisdom, you only have control of your response to that thing that happens. That's the only real thing. And in this amazing world that we live in now, we are liberated to make more choice, but I do see how that for some people, myself included, like I say, I've struggled with it. Given more choices, we feel even more lost. We feel even more wondering what it is that we should do. What is the right path when there are so many paths to choose from now? So the guy that I really like that kind of recounted this story that I saw, and I take as some inspiration for my own behaviors, is Alan Watts. He's this great guy who kind of originally popularized Eastern thought in the West. He's amazing to listen to. I love his vocabulary because it's touched by the time that he lives in, and he always says like groovy and stuff like that, while at the same time being this colossal scholar. Like this guy's real intelligent. I'm gonna go up this insane little hill here. Yeah! And I'll put the link to him basically telling the story of the Chinese farmer down below, and I'd highly recommend to anybody else who feels in search of how can I make better decisions, what are right decisions, so on and so forth, to check out his stuff. In fact, I'll put one more, an incredible video I sometimes send to people when they're like, I don't know what to do, and it's called Choices, and it takes an excerpt from his conversation once again. So it's really good stuff, really, really useful, and definitely provides some degree of peace after you consider a lot of what he has to say. And he has the gift as well of not saying things in such a way that they seem particularly academic or convoluted. It's not the point. Academia is kind of this fog so often where people are left wondering, what the hell did I just listen to? And he doesn't hit you like that. He puts it in such a way that people can understand, and that's the point. All right, so there you go. If you're wondering if you're coming to Japan, you probably feel less close to the decision. You're like, you didn't give me a reason to or not to. But I suppose I'm saying you can do anything. It'll work out fine. And when you choose that path, whatever it is, sometime later, I guarantee you, you'll not be able to imagine having taken any other path. That is the strange way that this messed up life works. All right, so if you like videos like this, please do comment, like, subscribe, leave scathing comments about my history and who I am. It's all a part of the system of existence, right? All right, I'll catch you guys later in the next video. Peace.